You're good.
I'm good to go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my term paper is on a project that I kind of took on outside of another class that's being taught by Peter Levine through the X College. And I don't know if you all are familiar, but Peter Levine is the director of CIRCLE, which just moved into the Tufts College within the last year. And CIRCLE stands for the Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement. So the project is a social networking site for community organizing. And I know that's a very broad definition and description of the project, but it's really complicated to explain, and I'll get there in a second. So it's being funded by a federal grant that Tufts received along with Suffolk and Boston. So we have 3 schools that are working together on one idea, but we're working separately. So collaborating together, but working individually. And the ultimate result would be a website that is a little bit like Facebook in the sense that you have a network, you can build connections with people and stuff, but its primary focus is to connect volunteers to organizations and organizations to ideas and people to resources, and to be kind of this big, we like to call it a map, but it's kind of a web rather than like an actual geographic map. So the challenge here is how do 3 different schools collaborate their ideas. So Tufts is using this map in a class called Facebook for Social Networking, where we discuss the idea of network connections, links, how people interact with each other. But Suffolk is doing it in conjunction with another class that focuses on Boston institutions and governments and things like that. And even more far removed is UMass Boston, who isn't offering a class this semester, but over the summer did a class that focused on video design and video production and graphic design and things like that. So there are 3 very different groups that are all working together on one thing. So how do we take our different visions and perspectives and align them into one unified goal? My task in particular was to kind of take the responsibility of the student communication off of Peter's shoulders and kind of connect with the Suffolk and UMass Boston students to see how they were using this software that's being developed, to see the different ways that their community partners have used it, the different problems that they had with it, how they thought it could be improved, etc. So in addition to engaging them in what they like and dislike, we also had to brainstorm solutions for potential problems. With any kind of Facebook-like social networking site, there are issues of privacy, there are issues of usability, there are issues of who your audience is, who are you trying to reach out to, who is going to use your software. So there was that. And then also to expand on each school's use of the software. Like I said before, each school is using it for something different. And we want to be able to kind of take everything that each school is doing and apply it to the other schools. So the strategies that I used for this were the idea of team leadership tactics. So I'm not necessarily by any means like in charge of this officially. It was an additional project that I wanted to do to help out Peter Levine, but nobody at Suffolk and UMass Boston kind of voted me in as the coordinator of this. So it was really kind of a team collaboration, and I was just trying to facilitate it and take on the lead of organizing it. So along with that role comes the need to improve the environment, what Nordhaus calls the environmental interface within the team. So getting people together to actually discuss things. Because we're so geographically spread out, a lot of the communication that was happening in terms of learning about what the other schools were doing was either going through email or it was coming from everybody's professor, which is really unreliable because people don't necessarily check their emails. They're not invested in what they're not invested in what email has to say a lot of times. And professors might mix things up. They might not say something. They might forget to give details, etc. So sharing relevant information with the team, which in this case consisted of the students at UMass Boston, Suffolk, and Tufts. And even more particular, I organized a dinner to with a couple students from Tufts and a couple students from UMass Boston. The Suffolk students weren't able to make it, but it was a great chance for us to all meet and sit down face to face and kind of collaborate on what we've been doing and to discuss these things in person. So then establish the collaborative environment. In order to do that, Nordhaus says you have to make communication safe, you have to listen to and understand each other and develop trusting relationships. And again, this was a little bit easier for me to do it coming from a student-to-student perspective, and especially since nobody had officially crowned me like the leader of this project, but it was just kind of a responsibility that I assumed. And doing it, discussing over dinner was a really low-key way to go about doing that. So while all of this was happening, Peter, the director of Circle, was planning the future steps. So discussing the changes with students, which was us in the Tufts class, relaying changes back to the designers, the people who are actually doing all of the HTML and all of the back-end work of the project, and building consensus on the design. When you have a lot of people that are all invested in this project and people that are using it in different ways, they all have opinions on what it should be called, what it should look like, what it, different privacy controls and accessibility and things like that. So we spent a lot of time doing that. So that was all happening simultaneously. So overall, the leadership learned was that it takes a very patient and organized person to coordinate across networks with the variances in people's schedules and people's opinions, and some people are very strongly opposed to one thing while everybody else is strongly in favor of it, and kind of mediating those situations takes a very particular kind of skill set. So the cross-network collaboration presents a unique challenge because there are all these different ideas that need to just be condensed down into to one solution. And organization and communication are essential, and the benefits of a new perspective are invaluable because after talking with the other students from UMass Boston, and well, I guess Suffolk wasn't there. So after talking to the UMass Boston students, the Tufts students at our little dinner meeting were able to kind of take back what we had learned from them and share it with our Tufts class. And the response was like, oh really, like I'd never thought about that before, and vice versa for the UMass Boston students. So I think that's all. That's as far as we've done. Yeah.